things off at number 10, Tyra Banks.
This is not, be quiet, Tiffany. Be quiet! What is wrong with you? Stop it!
I think that one of the most memorable meltdowns from reality TV has to be from America's Next Top Model when Tyra yelled at contestant Tiffany Richardson. It was her famous "We were rooting for you" freakout that has stuck in my head for all of these years. The incident happened when Tyra was frustrated with Tiffany's behavior over the last week of competitions, saying that she was disconnected and was trying less than all of the other contestants. When she got eliminated and didn't seem fazed by it, that's when Tyra flipped her lid and started on her famous freakout, saying, quote, "Be quiet, Tiffany, be quiet. What's wrong with you? Stop it. I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells like this, it's because she loves me. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?" Tyra really wanted to see Tiffany succeed, but instead she watched the model burn out and fall apart. Tyra was honestly just fed up with Tiffany and her indifference towards the competition, and I guess she just couldn't handle the frustration anymore. At number 9, Andrew Garfield.
Whoa, Andrew, relax, man. Whoa, what happened?
Andrew Garfield is another celebrity who's just had it with the paparazzi. While out with actress Emma Stone, the pair were spotted by paparazzi and they swarmed them while they were trying to pull their car out of a driveway. Since the photographers gathered around their car, they couldn't move without risk of hitting them, although I don't think a lot of celebrities would mind seeing that happen. I'm joking. Anyway, Andrew got frustrated with the paps and swarming their car, so he got out and stood in front of the car, making a pathway for Emma to pull the car through. After getting a little way through the crowd, he got back into the car just for the photographers to gather back around the vehicle. Frustrated, Andrew gets back out of the car to clear a path and then gets back in the car only for the paparazzi to gather a third time. At this point, Andrew gets out, slamming his door, and yells at the paparazzi to get out of the way, and finally gets into the car and speeds away. Paparazzi clearly need to get better at listening to these stars, because when they don't, they get mad and then they act like it wasn't their fault when it clearly was. In at 8, Alec Baldwin.
You have insulted me. You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old or that you're a child.
Alec Baldwin's nasty freakout at his daughter Ireland back in 2007 really just tops the list of things you should not say to your kid. This incident comes from when he left his daughter a voicemail telling her how angry he is that he took time off from his apparently very busy schedule to call her, just for her not to answer the phone. In the voicemail he said, quote, "You don't have the brains or the decency as a human being. I don't give a damn that you're 12 years old or 11 years old or that you're a child or that your mother is a thoughtless pain in the ass who doesn't care about what you do as far as I'm concerned. Once again, I've made an ass of myself trying to get to a phone. You've humiliated me for the last time with this phone." He also went on to call his daughter a pig. Yeah. This long, angry recording really didn't help the actor's fatherly image, as this came out during the time where he was in a custody battle with his ex-wife over their child. In later years, Ireland has come out to say that the things that he said to her on the phone hurt her in a permanent way. Now that was one serious freakout. Coming in at number 7, Cardi B. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj have been rivals for some time now. As they're both big name female rappers, there's bound to be some tension between them, but a lot of this tension came to a head at a New York Fashion Week party that ended in a brawl between the two women. The altercation started after Cardi approached Nicki about alleged lies that she'd been spreading about her. Nicki had also allegedly stepped on Cardi's dress, causing it to rip. There were also reports that Nicki had said something about Cardi's daughter culture. There were shoes being thrown, wigs being snatched, and it ended with Cardi being escorted out by security barefoot with a torn dress and a bump on her head. Later on, Cardi took to Instagram to speak on the incident, saying that it was Nicki's comments about her daughter that really pushed her over the edge. When Mama Bear comes out, the claws do too. At number 6, any of Gordon Ramsay's freakouts. Gordon Ramsay is known for his freakouts. Between his freakouts on Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen, he's done a lot of screaming and shouting in his day. Ever Every single one of his on-screen meltdowns are honestly just so entertaining because of how aggressively mad he gets at some of these people. And don't even get me started on the name calling. The idiot sandwich? Classic. Calling someone a donkey? Even better. Gordon is the king of freakouts and the king of insults, and what makes it even better is the fact that even after yelling at all these people and insulting them and their work, he's still a very highly respected chef. I mean, he really doesn't seem that scary unless you piss him off. But his talent in the kitchen combined with his charisma outside of the kitchen, you can never really cancel Gordon for his behavior because that's just what makes him who he is. Halfway through at number 5, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has had a few outbursts in his day, including his famously aggressive "just do it" bit, but the one I'm gonna tell you guys about was just so uncalled for. Back in 2017, Shia had a bit of a freakout at a bowling alley of all places, and I'm guessing that it was just chalked up to him being hangry or something because our guy Shia freaked out over some french fries. While at a bowling alley, he went up to order some french fries, and when he was refused, probably because he was being so aggressive, things got out of hand. In a video captured of the incident, you see Shia behind the bar yelling at one of the bartenders about his french fries, and the bartender was holding a large bottle of Grey Goose vodka as a sort of defensive tactic. It looked like he was really about to smack the actor with the bottle if he got too close, you know? Well, this made Shia even angrier and even took him to the point of angrily yelling that the bartender was, quote, an effing racist, even though both of them are white. After being escorted from the premises, Shia kept saying that they effed up and demanded that someone call the police, even though it was completely unnecessary. There are those who were there that night that said that the actor was drinking a lot that night and that his outburst was probably fueled by his alcoholism, something that the actor has dealt with in the past. Coming in at number 4, Kim K. Sometimes it's the spirit of the holidays that brings family together, and other times it tears them apart. The latter seems to have been the case with Kim and Kourtney over their holiday photo shoot. Viewers of the reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians watched as Kim freaked out at Kourtney over her demands regarding their photo shoot. Kourtney was being uncooperative when it came to the scheduling of the photo shoot, saying that she'd only work for a certain amount of time, and this conflicted with everyone else's time, and Kim really just lost it on her. Kim began yelling at Kourtney, saying, quote, maybe if you had an effing business that you were passionate about, then you would know what it takes to run an effing business. No one wants you in the photo shoot, and she even called her sister the most uninteresting to look at. Harsh, Kim. Even after Kourtney stormed out of the room, Kim kept up her frustration, yelling to her mom and sister about it. I think it's safe to say that Kim really blew her top on this one. At number 3, Kanye West. Kanye West has had a long history of freakouts and meltdowns, but this one is probably one of the most freakouts I can think of, and it comes from his interview with Sway Calloway. During his time on Sway's radio show, Kanye got into a very heated argument with the radio host over merch. During the interview, Kanye spoke out about his frustrations with the fashion industry and his creative freedom when it comes to his brand. He said how he's experienced a lack of support from people who he's collaborated with, and then Sway suggested that Kanye just fund his project himself, and then that's when things got ugly. Kanye seemed to have gotten angered by Sway's suggestion and then proceeded to yell, quote, you ain't got the answers, Sway, you ain't got the answers, over and over and over and over again. Watching videos of Kanye's freakout, he was so frustrated. He almost looked like he was going to cry, honestly. After the interview, footage of Kanye's outburst became a meme, and some even remixed his screaming into a song. But the bottom line here is that Kanye was super upset by this interview. At number 2, Justin Bieber. Would this list really be complete without mention of Justin Bieber and his many outbursts? No. In one of his more notable freakouts, we saw him lunge and try to attack paparazzi. While leaving a hotel in March of 2013, paparazzi were waiting outside looking for the singer, but they seem to have gotten a lot more than what they bargained for. As Justin tried rushing into the van that was waiting for him and his team, he began getting yelled at and insulted by paparazzi. Angered, Justin lunged out of the van and tried fighting the paparazzi, and as the photographer egged him on, Justin just got more and more enraged, to the point that his team had to hold him back from the photographer. The two just yelled and swore at each other until they inevitably drove away. I really think that this photographer purposely made Justin mad just because he knew that he'd get a rise out of him, and that would just make for a good story. During this period of time, Justin was known for his outbursts and troublesome behavior, but egging someone on just to get a good shot, that's just plain disrespectful. Finally, at number 1, Britney Spears. Probably the best example of a celebrity freakout has to be Britney Spears and her umbrella incident. This came from a very troubling time for Britney in 2007 after shaving her head and getting 2 tattoos. The umbrella incident came about as she was swarmed by paparazzi at a gas station. As this was already a weird time for the pop star, the paparazzi were really out there trying to look for big news with her, and boy did they ever strike gold that night. After being surrounded by photographers, Britney went to her car, got an umbrella, and started smashing a photographer's car with it, and it actually caused quite a lot of damage. Through her yelling, profanities, and her violent outbursts, the cameras caught everything, and the images have been living on the internet ever since, reminding us of her troubled past. At number 10, Samuel L. Jackson. Not only has Sam L. Jackson had it with these mother effing snakes, he's also had it with these mother effing reporters. During an interview in 2014, a TV news anchor mistook Samuel L. Jackson for Lawrence Fishburne, and his reaction was both intense and a little funny. The news anchor started off their interview by asking the actor about his Super Bowl commercial, but soon after he was corrected into realizing that the commercial was from Lawrence Fishburne and not Samuel. In response to this apparently very common mix-up, Samuel told the news anchor that he is not in fact Lawrence Fishburne, and then goes on to say that though he and Fishburne are both successful black men, they are not in fact the same person. I'm pretty sure he was just joking in this bit, but it was still pretty intense and probably made the anchor feel pretty embarrassed. At number 9, Chris Brown. I think that after the Rihanna incident in 2009, our perception of Chris Brown changed, and we now see him as someone with a bad temper. Well, coming out of that night in 2009, Chris sought to change his image, but I'm not quite sure it worked. In 2011, Chris Brown was a guest on Good Morning America and sat down with Robin Roberts for an interview to discuss his new album and to perform a song from said album, but during the interview you could see Chris getting pretty mad at Robin after she kept asking him about his altercation with his ex Rihanna. During the interview, as Robin would stray off topic of Chris's album and would begin referencing his incident with Rihanna and how that affected him, Chris kept trying to get her to stay on topic of the album. It obviously enraged him so much talking about Rihanna and Robin not staying on the topic because Chris had a meltdown after his time on air had ended. He performed a song, then stormed off stage to his dressing room, and it was then that he took off his shirt, threw a chair at a window, which caused it to smash and send shards of glass falling down to the street below, and then he stormed off. He missed the rest of his scheduled interviews and appearances that day and just kinda had a meltdown. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, I just want to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on the video because it really helps us out. At number 8, Tom Cruise. Sometimes love can overwhelm a person. When you're really infatuated with someone, you want to shout it from the mountaintops and apparently jump up and down on Oprah's couch. That last one pertains to Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in 2005, and at the time when he and actress Katie Holmes had just begun dating. Being a talk show host, Oprah obviously had to ask Tom about his new relationship and fed into the audience's amazement with the actor. Tom already being super hyped up by the audience's energy and also some kind of stimulant like coffee or started getting really jazzed about talking about Katie. Tom was really out there. He jumped on the couch a few times during that interview and he was all smiles and laughs and was really just freaking out about his love for Katie Holmes. I really don't know if his reactions during that interview were genuine or not, but it was still a wild little freak out that he had there. At number 7, John Lennon. I don't know about you, but when I think about John Lennon, I don't normally think about getting beaten to a pulp by him. I mean, I don't know much about the guy in general, but he just didn't really seem like the violent type. Well, apparently he kind of was. John Lennon had a serious freak out at Paul McCartney's 21st birthday, which resulted in someone getting absolutely pummeled. The altercation started when Lennon was confronted by someone suggesting that there was some kind of romance between Lennon and Brian Epstein. See, John and Brian had taken a holiday together just prior to this party, and there was speculation that they were lovers because Brian was gay. John hated the rumors surrounding him and Brian, so when this person brought it up, John kind of snapped and ended up beating this guy up so bad. He was hitting him with a large stick and gave him a black eye and a couple of bruised ribs. Lennon later recalled thinking that he could have killed this guy in the moment, so he was very obviously filled with rage. At number 6, Orlando Bloom. Orlando Bloom had kind of a freak out at a high-end restaurant in Ibiza, which resulted in a fight breaking out between the actor and Justin Bieber. According to witnesses of the altercation, Justin, who had not been dining at that restaurant, came in allegedly looking for trouble, and he sure found it. Apparently what went down was Justin approached the table where Orlando and Leonardo DiCaprio were sitting and said something about Orlando's ex-wife Miranda Kerr. This obviously made him angry and raised tensions in the restaurant. Justin began walking away, but Orlando came chasing after him, jumping over a couch before catching him and trying to throw punches. They began fighting one another, and other guests at the restaurant, including other celebrities, started cheering until the fight was broken up and Justin was dragged out of the restaurant by security. It is thought that Orlando got so mad at Justin because he was saying some derogatory things about Miranda, so just to add salt to the wound, Justin ended up posting a bikini picture of Miranda to his Instagram the next day following the brawl, but he ended up taking it down shortly after. At number 5, Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers is a funny, sassy, and mostly cheerful woman. She said herself that she was put on this earth to make people laugh, but that doesn't mean she doesn't get angry. Joan is relatively patient when it comes to the press because she knows to take what they say with a grain of salt, but there came a moment where she was so upset by an interview that she just stormed out. This happened when she was being interviewed by CNN about one of her books. During the interview, the reporter started off by asking about Joan's book and her life, but then the questions turned and became a little more negative and judgmental. The reporter started commenting on Joan's comedy and suggested that her words can be a little shocking and rude, and then she goes on to comment about the fact that Joan was wearing fur on the cover of her book. This got Joan mad and she kinda just went off on the reporter. You could really tell that Joan was just fed up with this interview, and so she stormed out. Following the interview, CNN tried to reach out for a comment or even to pick up where they left off, but she declined. At number 4, Sean Diddy Combs. I'm not a parent, but I can understand the need to protect your kids and defend them no matter what. If someone is hurting your kid or if they're being treated unfairly, you're gonna want to step in and do something about it. While celebrity parents are just the same, and sometimes things can get a little out of hand. Sean Diddy Combs was ready to square up with his kid's football coach because he was unhappy with how his son was being treated. When I first read about this, I thought it was a case of Diddy chewing out his son's little league coach or something, but oh no. This case was a little more extreme. A lot more extreme. His son was the defensive back for the UCLA football team, and Sean didn't just have any choice words with Coach Sal Alozzi. Oh no, he actually hit the guy with a kettlebell. Sources say that Sean walked into the locker room to speak with the coach, words were exchanged, and then things got heated, leading to the rapper throwing the kettlebell of undisclosed weight at the coach. Diddy ended up getting arrested for the brawl and faced 3 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, 1 count of making threats, and 1 count of battery. Now that's a freak out. At number 3, Russell Crowe. Actor Russell Crowe had a bit of a temper tantrum at a New York City hotel, which resulted in him getting arrested. In 2009, Russell was staying at the Mercer Hotel in Soho when he got into a fit of rage. This happened after he failed to call his wife, who was in Australia at the time. He was trying to make the call from his room but couldn't get through to his wife, and so frustrated, he went down to the lobby to confront the concierge. According to sources, Russell and the concierge got into a verbal altercation as the actor lost his temper and hurled a phone at the man behind the counter. The assault resulted in the concierge sustaining cuts and severe pain on his face. The actor was arrested and charged with 2nd-degree assault and 4th-degree criminal possession of a weapon. The weapon being the phone. He had a total meltdown that day in the hotel, and I'm sure that's something that the concierge will never forget. I hope his face is okay though. At number 2, Gary Coleman. The late Gary Coleman had a successful career, but he also faced some scrutiny surrounding his suspected and alleged domestic altercations with his wife. Before his death, he was asked about his domestic issues during a number of interviews, and though he denied ever having laid a hand on his partner, that never stopped people from prying. Being suspected of abusing others made him very upset, and we definitely saw this during an interview on The Insider. During the interview, Coleman was being grilled about his place in the media and the allegations that he'd been facing, and as he continuously turned these allegations and scrutiny down, the interviewer just kept on pushing until Gary snapped and began yelling at them, calling them names, and saying some other less than nice things. After being grilled and getting increasingly angrier, he stormed out of the interview. Though they tried calling him back, he was just too furious to return. The clip that I showed you was just a small bit of Gary's freakout, but the rest isn't too nice either. But if you want to check out the rest of that interview, go check it out. There's some foul language in there. At number 1, Solange Knowles. The famous Solange versus Jay-Z elevator battle was pretty famous. It's something along the lines of the plot of Batman v Superman, just with the celebrities instead of the superheroes. The freakout fight battle to the death even took place at the 2014 Met Gala, and though it took place about 6 years ago, we still have no clue what provoked the fight. Some speculate it was because of a cheating scandal, and others think that it could be about money, but really, there's no confirmed reason as to why the fight broke out. All we have to analyze is this surveillance footage that was leaked to the internet that got this whole drama started. In the footage, we see Solange and Jay-Z begin what looked like a verbal disagreement, which turned into a physical altercation. My guess is that Solange was just standing up for her sister and sort of flipped out on the rapper. Either way, it was dramatic and intense.